Hello, and thank you for joining me for another vast blog post. Today's topic is what is project-based learning and how can it benefit my child? We've all done projects before in school, whether it was having to research a famous mathematician or getting to finally apply the laws of physics by creating a rocket ship to launch at the end of your unit. But that's not what project-based learning is. Those are all really nice and fun, but they aren't genuinely causing you to learn. We are supposed to meet certain standards in school, and knowing about the mathematician isn't something you actually need to know in the real world, and it's not a standard that needs to be met. Project-based learning puts all the standards into one big project for you to learn about as you go through. Those other projects are called dessert projects because they are a lot of fun. It's just they're extra. They're not the actual meat and potatoes of education. Project-based learning turns the projects into the main course where you are doing your actual learning through the projects rather than I already learned it and now I'm going to do a little extra project on top of it. For it to be a true project-based learning experience, you need to start with a driving question or some sort of problem or challenge that the students need to solve. They are going to be basing their whole project based on that one question. It's kind of like an essential question in the normal educational talk, but that's what the whole project is about. So let's say the driving question is, how can we improve our food supply? Well, the kids are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to come up with a solution to that problem. And a lot of it can be guided through the teacher, but it also should be research done by the students. It's their job to solve this problem. And that really amps up their critical thinking skills. And those are skills that they can apply to the real world and help them succeed in life. These driving questions can't be things that you can just Google and get an answer to really quick and write down on a piece of paper. These require some deep thought and research gathering, and students don't just have to use the computers and Google to gather this information. They can go to the library and find books, or they could talk to experts in the real world, or they can do a little trial and error experimenting. Maybe their solution to the how can we improve our food supply is that we need to switch to vertical farming. So they're going to create a vertical farming platform of hydroponics. So they're going to practice building these structures. Another key component to project-based learning is that it has to be authentic learning. It has to be something that's actually applied to the real world. So, for example, with the how can we improve our food supply, that is a genuine problem that we need to solve to make sure that our population is fed. And they can actually scale that down to be applicable to their community. The question could be, how can we increase our food supply in our community? And they could do things like have a food drive to get food donated to the food pantry. But the goal is that they're actually interacting with the real world and making a difference. Their learning isn't just in a box at school. We want them to understand how what they're learning is applied to the real world. So that question of why are we learning this isn't happening anymore. They know why they're learning it because they're making a difference, because they're trying to solve these problems to make our world a better place. And that's just a good thing to have overall. A lot of schools' missions have to do with preparing students to be good citizens of our nation. And I don't know if we necessarily are doing that if we're not teaching these skills of giving back and trying to solve our world problems. Throughout all of the projects, project-based learning should be incorporating voice and choice. It is about the students. It is their learning. So although creating a project by themselves might be really difficult, especially if they're at a younger age or if they're unfamiliar with the project-based learning process. They should be truly building the projects themselves. They should be coming up with what question they're going to solve or what problem they're going to solve do the research, create the solution, and presenting it. But that's not always very feasible, so we might need to do some scaffolding for the students. Oftentimes, the project challenge will be picked out for them already, and they might find their voice and choice through what their solution is going to be or how they're going to be demonstrating their learning. Maybe they're going to do a public speech. Maybe they're just going to build a model. Maybe they're going to create a blog where they're going to do little posts about all these different solutions that they've come up with, but they get to choose how they're going to demonstrate their learning. Another way that they can achieve voice and choice is by getting to choose how they're going to get their information. Maybe they are going to ask their teacher for help, or they're going to go out and find an expert in the field. So maybe for the how can we improve our food supply, they could talk to a farmer and see how they do it, or talk to a food scientist. There's lots of different experts out there that could help them in the field. Or maybe they decide they're going to read a book, or they're going to watch a documentary, or they're going to listen to a podcast, or they're going to research online. There are so many different options, but having that choice can really engage them more because they feel like they have more ownership of the project, and also it helps them learn better because it's meeting their needs and their styles. Lastly, you might be able to squeeze some voice and choice in there with who they work with. These projects shouldn't be done in solidarity. Project-based learning communities are about community and collaborating with others, because in the real world, you don't just learn in a box or work in a box, right? It's not about your mind alone. You need to have those collaboration skills in order to solve these problems. So we very much encourage that in project-based learning. Another key part of project-based learning is reflection. We need to keep thinking about how we can make this better, or is this good enough? What can we do to actually come up with a better product to solve this problem? So students go through a continuous reflection process, and they also work on getting critique from their teachers or their peers, because both have their pros and cons. They might receive feedback a little bit better from their peers because they feel like their peers get what's going on a little bit better, whereas the teachers can be a little bit more critical in the academic sense. But getting those check-ins from your peers and your teachers about, oh, this looks good, we can keep working on this, or we can improve on this, getting that feedback is really important. And that's how you grow. Having that growth mindset is really important, not only in school, but in the real world. We want to keep refining our product until it's perfect. So having that reflection and critique process is another really important part of project-based learning. The component of project-based learning is going out there in front of an authentic audience. Because what's the point of doing these projects if they're just going to sit in your folder or the school filing cabinet? Let's get them out there and actually try to solve these problems and get them evaluated by experts. The experts in the field are going to be able to give you some really good feedback to see if you were actually successful in your project. And solving problems in our community, who doesn't want to do that? So maybe that hydroponic system can be used in the school cafeteria to grow fresh and nutritious food for our community that we weren't able to have before. Having an authentic audience also makes it so students just care more. They realize that what they're doing is important, and they put more effort into it. They know that this isn't just going to be shown to their class or to their teacher, but actually seen by the public and experts that they look up to. So it really increases the quality of the work and the student engagement as well. That's what project-based learning is. How can it benefit your child? Well, we talked a lot about how it's just more engaging. It's really hard to tune out your project when it's not your teacher just talking in the front of the room and you're falling asleep, but you're actually engaging in it. You have to be thinking about how you're going to solve these problems, and you get to make all these choices throughout. So it's just a lot more of a fun, engaging experience. And like I said previously, it just is authentic, and you don't want to mess up if this is going to get presented to the school board, because that just wouldn't be very good. It may be a little embarrassing. So students just care more, and it's more fun and engaging, and applicable to the real world. And it's helping build those critical thinking skills as well as growth mindset, which are really important in the real world. Also, students work on their collaboration skills when they work in their groups and as part of a team. So those are some ways that project-based learning can benefit your child. Thank you for tuning in for our What is Project-Based Learning and How Can It Benefit My Child VAST blog post.